Hello, my name is Adrian Lang, and I'm going to be talking about how I got into my job as a field engineer. I got into field engineer, or at least working as a field engineer, because my previous career as an electrician, which turned into a passion for building. When I was first living on my own, I had to quickly get a job, and the only jobs I could really work were in construction because I worked with the morning stuff, and then I could be able to pay all my bills. Um, this construction job led me to becoming a helper in the electrician company MC Dean. There, I was able to learn how to work with high voltage, how to run conduits, and how to read blueprints, which became really good skills to later move on into engineering. I lasted there for quite a decent chunk of time until we had an electrical fire one day, in which my whole entire crew got booted from the job site, and we were out of work for a little bit of time. And instead of just waiting, I decided to move on to another company while the rest of my coworkers stayed behind. The new company I moved to was LSSI, and what we did over there is we worked on the more low voltage side or IT side, which required a lot more mental and problem solving skills that I didn't have to use before. So what I did with this company was I worked on security systems, ran data wires, and other things like that. I got really good at doing this stuff, and I was able to start reading blueprints a lot better. And due to this, they moved me up a little bit into running security systems, into which I had to solve how we're putting up cameras and other things like that and making them work, because typically we'll have a problem or two that we're not able to solve, and we'll have to have a field engineer go out there and do it. So that's what I got promoted to. And then after working with that for a little bit, they moved me up to actually programming the devices that we were putting up, which took a lot of skill and effort on my part to learn. But once I started getting the basics down, I really started to learn how to master it, and it got me really going. And due to this company, I was able to get back into my electrical engineering degree, which I started before I worked as an electrician. But this company really launched me into it, and I was really grateful for that. They were able to help me pay for my classes, gave me a lot of time to get into working and learning more about the engineering process and everything. So they helped me out a lot, but sadly, the company had a few problems with it going on. There was a lot of infighting, which led us to moving on to downsizing. And sadly, I was one of the cuts due to my schooling and education that I was required, and I couldn't do the hours they wanted. So I moved on to my next company, which was CTSI. They hired me on as a field engineer right then and there. I was able to work with a lot more blueprints, editing, all the stuff, going through, going to multiple job sites, really looking at what I was doing. Um, One really cool thing was I was able to define a voltage system that became a lot more efficient than we typically worked with, and it was a really big challenge, but I was able to get through it a lot. And then one of my favorite jobs that we did was working with solar panels, which we had to build on top of some schools in Alexandria. This was a pretty hard task to do. We hadn't built one before. I was up there tinkering with it for hours on end. And what happened with the guys, they had to run a lot of the voltage systems for it, which took a lot of time on our part, really difficult. And once we were able to actually get it up there, we then had to move a bunch of the parts around and then start programming it, because the system wouldn't feed properly. So that all of our stuff that we ended up putting in there would either go back to the city or it just wouldn't even go to the comm room. So it took me hundreds of hours to get through, work on all the programming, really get it done. But it really led me into loving electrical engineering and moving me into the field. And I'm really happy as to where I am now. And I think this was a great way to get me into it and really get me to see how everything was working.